So Troy, we want to get your opinion first of all on the Kylian Mbappe saga. Obviously, with France and Real Madrid, he's not going through the best of times. So, first of all, what are your thoughts on his current form?
It's probably not been anywhere near what we'd all expected. I thought personally when they got him, I thought that was the missing piece. A bit like when City got Haaland. You'd expect him to score a lot of goals and them to be more or less unstoppable. What I think's happened is, again, I don't know this to be factual, but just looking at it, my opinion is that his ego's gone before his actual work ethic. So being at PSG, he had the freedom to do whatever he wanted.
Big fish in a small pond.
Yeah, and also I think the expectation wasn't as great because they were always going to win the league, if you get what I mean. So go to Real Madrid, there's obviously Barcelona, there's Atletico. There's the expectation you win the league and you win the Champions League. And I think at the moment that's just weighing a little heavy on him. I also, it's going to sound really nice, I don't think he's a natural striker. And I know it sounds mental.
Yeah, but he said that himself, isn't he?
Has he?
He wants to play on the left.
Well, he can't. Vini Jr.'s there. So in that situation, that's a massive mistake from Real Madrid because they're just they've gone for a name which sells shirts and the brand as opposed to what makes them win. So maybe he's going to have a little conversation about probably playing on the right.
Do you think that was the right move, though, for both club and player? I know it was a free, and it was his dream.
Well, if it's his dream, he needs to start playing through the middle and actually learning to stay outside. Because the one game I watched against Barcelona, Jesus Christ, he was offside about 9 times. It was like you're rapid. Like it really irks me when players that are quick, especially probably because I'm. But when you see these guys who are quick, they just don't bend their run or art their run. It's like they're over eager. So in that regard, it needs to. If it's his dream, it needs to drop his ego and work a bit harder.
And you say they're like fitting him into the team, play on the right, but what does that mean for the likes of Rodrigo, for Bellingham? Do they sort of go by the wayside sometimes?
I think the only two places on that team you say he can't take is Bellingham's and Vinicius Jr. and not in that order. It's Vinicius. It's his team and he's delivering. So like Rodrigo has played through the middle a few times for them last season, and maybe he has to figure it out. But there's one man who can make him figure it out, and that's Ancelotti, probably the best manager around at the moment. So they'll figure it out, but they need to be careful because Barcelona are doing really well. Really, really impressed with them.
And if maybe Kylian Mbappe isn't the best striker in the world right now, who is, in your opinion?
Depends what you look for. Best goal scorer, I'd argue, is Haaland by a country mile. It depends what you look at in terms of potential. I like the kid Thuram, Inter. But he needs to realise his skill set is he's rapid and stop trying to take everybody on like it's an under-23s game.
Yeah.
But there's loads of good strikers. Lewandowski, Harry Kane, obviously, they're all around in that conversation. But the obvious candidates are the ones I've spoken about.
And good you mentioned his name there because it goes on to our next question about Harry Kane. A lot of talk about his England future. Obviously, on air you've just spoke about that as well. Do you think it's time for Kane to maybe hang up his international boots?
No, what are you talking about? He got dropped for one game, man, and we're all like, get rid of him. He's still Harry Kane. He's still very good. He's still England's top goal scorer. Didn't hear this debate about Rooney when Rooney was getting extra games. I certainly didn't hear it about Bex when he was clocking up the games as a sub and stuff. So, no. I think what Lee Carsey did was understand the team that was needed for that game. And sometimes Harry now will have to get into the uncomfortable position of being old, which is what happens to all of us. And games where he still thinks he can play and add value, the manager will think differently. But you got to get your head around that very quickly. But no chance. If you said to me now, with the current crop of strikers we have, and we were losing Harry Kane going into the World Cup, are you confident we can win the World Cup? I'd say absolutely not. No one would. So it needs to be there.
And sticking with elite forwards, obviously Mo Salah's contract and future is up in the air at Liverpool. You've been quite vocal on it in the past. You've sort of played both sides of the field and said...
I haven't. I'd say the truth.
And
played both sides of the fence.
And what is your truth?
I'm not I'm not like most of these people. I think Mohamed Salah is excellent. I think he's a pivotal part for Liverpool. they should never let it get to this situation. But I understand there's a financial structure around that they want to try and keep to. But my argument has always been like, I just don't think he's world class. But again, world class is a different opinion. What I think to world class is, would I want my children to play like that player? That's what I think is world class. So if I was asking my kids who got to be forwards, I would be saying I would like them to look at what Vinicius Junior does as opposed to Mohamed Salah. But his goals, he scores an unbelievable amount of goals, highly effective, and so look, that's just my opinion. Yeah, he's probably going to turn around and go to Troy, and fair play to him. But that's my opinion, isn't it?
And if there was, say you were Mo Salah, and there's a contract on the table for Liverpool, and there's an identical contract on the table for Saudi Arabia or a similar move, what are you picking?
He's completely different because he's massive in the Middle East. He's a huge draw. So also, like, we look at it solely from a league perspective. You got to think how many times this guy gets hammered for just posting pictures on Christmas Day, for example. Do you get what I mean? All of that goes away, and there's so many different nuanced pieces to it. At this point in his career, I don't think he's moving for money. I could be wrong. I don't think he's moving for money. I think it's for where he feels motivated and where he feels he's going to have the best life for his missus and his kids. So whatever he chooses to do, he's earned the right to do that. If he decides to not play for Liverpool again, he's earned the right to do that, and he'll still be a Liverpool legend and great.
And finally, for our forward chat, we want to get your top 5 strikers currently in the Premier League, from 5
in the Prem
to 1.
Jesus Christ!
I've got a list here of the current top goal scorers. If you need a little reminder,
because Chris Wood's not going to be in your top 5, so it's irrelevant. So now this is going to be a bit harsh because I actually think Villa have got like 2 of the best 6. I think Villa have got 2. So top 5 strikers. Haaland 1, obvious. Head and shoulders above everyone.
Yeah, easy.
I don't class Havertz as a striker. Sorry.
That's fine. This is your list, so you can choose who's a striker, who's a winger, who's a forward.
Mate, there's not a great deal. When you start going through, there's not a great deal of them. And then genuinely, of these 4, you choose. I'm just going through the list of every team, by the way. You've got Nicholas Jackson.
Yep.
Darwin Núñez.
Okay.
John Durant.
Yep.
Ollie Watkins.
And then Haaland, who you said.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think if I've missed anybody out.
So we've obviously got
working through
Chris Wood, if you wanted to count him. Visser, do you count him? Danny Welbeck, Liam Delap, Cunha, Jimenez, Isak.
Cunha's more of a 10. Isak.
Solanke.
There you go. Isak.
Okay.
So that would be my. So sorry, I'm glad I didn't miss Isak. So I would go Haaland, Isak, and then any of those 4 can fill the spaces.
You can't really rank them at the moment.
No, because Ollie obviously had a really good season last year. He struggled to start this year. I would like to see a bit more consistently to be right. He's that. Again, what do you look for in a striker? I look for, chances created versus chances scored. Obviously, you're going to miss more than you score. It's just the nature of the beast. I don't feel confident when he goes through 1v1. John Durant, I think, just scores every 20 minutes. It's a joke.
He's got a good goals game,
but he's got a lot to learn, and he's been very short term at the moment. So we'll see how that.
Because it's been like impact sub, isn't it? We're not seeing him start a game.
Yeah.
We're not sure if they can work together.
Exactly, and also no one's really. So what happens in your first year is you get away from it. Second, third, and fourth year, people start planning to stop you.
Yeah.
He's getting that luxury right now. Nicholas Jackson, again, not sure when I'm not sure he can stay outside. I know everyone's going to say like, oh, it's changed, but the style of play has changed. He's offside loads, doesn't score a lot of his chances, but when he scores in bunches. Darwin Núñez, the same, offside a lot, works great for the team. Every chance you expect him to score, he misses, and the hard ones he scores. It's like just trying to get him to slow down. But unbelievable players. So the only 2 obvious ones is Haaland and then Isak.
And with Isak, even though he's had a bit of a patchy form, I mean Newcastle have as well.
But he's a finisher, mate.
Do you think he could move on to an Arsenal?
Of course he could.
Solve their problem?
Of course he should. Yeah, of course he could. I wouldn't be surprised if Chelsea get him.
Yeah, you think Chelsea would be a good move for him?
I think so. But they've spent a lot of money on and everyone, basically. Yeah. So I don't know whether they would go again. But Isak is a proper finisher, mate. He's a proper finisher.
And finally, to wrap up, I was listening to a podcast this morning.
What did I do this time?
It's not. Well, maybe.
Yeah.
And they had Bill Leslie on it, obviously of Hog Deeney fame.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And he
I was thinking for football. I was like, no. But go on, yeah.
And he mentioned that you met up recently.
Yeah.
And apparently you said that you made him famous.
Yeah.
And his reply was
he made me famous. Yeah.
So I just want to get your reaction to that.
No, it's cool.
Because he is one of the most famous.
Yeah, of course.
Commentary lines of all time.
No, look, he did a great job, and I think he encapsulated the emotion of the game. I just had a wind up, you know me. Yeah, obviously Bill Leslie he's obviously no one really knew him before that, obviously, and clearly they did. But I feel the same, and look, he made that moment what it is. Like the goal itself is nice, but it's the theatre around it. So yeah, we 50-50. I'll go on that. Yeah,
we helped each other's careers.
I would not like to say anything negative about somebody as well respected and as good at his field as Sir Bill Leslie.